we doing, everybody? Hello and welcome in to another edition. This is, I believe, the third episode of the Husker Gutter call-in show, named by you, the subscribers, the fans, the commenters. So we are going to be taking calls. We're going to drop the link in the chat here. I'll go ahead and drop it in now. I'm sure I'll have to drop it a few more times, but if anybody does want to dial in, there you go. There's the link. You do not need video, just audio. So feel free to kind of click that link and dive into conversation. We'll talk about anything y'all want to talk about. So click the link and let's get it rocking and rolling. But first off, well, let me pull up our names here. How you doing, Brian?
I am doing good. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Ready to get this show rocking and rolling. Hopefully we get some calls in. What's going on, Andrew? Appreciate you hopping in here. Husk my cob at 69. I love the name. Fully Husked LFG. Let's fucking go. Yeah, like I said before, we got a few more people in here. Since if y'all click the link, you do not need a video. Audio is fine. We can talk about whatever y'all want to talk about. But we're going to dive into a couple things here. First off, for those who didn't get a chance to check it out, Tuesday we did a on the phone interview with Trae Taylor on our show. He went through a few things and listed a group of guys he was peer recruiting and stuff like that. A lot of good details coming from Trae about what made him choose Nebraska, those type of things. Again, he worked with us through a lot of technical issues on that episode. So like his commitment to coming on the show we really, really appreciated that. But Brian, what were some of your takeaways from the interview?
My biggest takeaway was literally the first question I asked him was about what made him want to be like, he had this NFL mindset preparing for football all day long. And he said, I choose me every single day. I choose me and I only choose me. And he went on that long speech about what that the chosen one meant and what that means to his, what it drives him and all these things. I don't want to give away too much because if you haven't checked it out, you need to. But that was the biggest thing. We'll be posting
a video of just the interview either tonight or tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, was just his dedication to choose himself. And that didn't go for just life. It went for football. Like one of the comments I saw when he was talking about it, they said, game on the line, you need to play. I choose me every single time. Let's effing go. And I was like, exactly.
Yep, 100%.
I love that.
And that's, you see that all throughout his tape. We're talking about his, one of the main things I talked about when going through his film the first time. And then in our little film review we did, if you haven't seen that, that's on the channel as well. But we got Garrison calling in here, our Ohio State friend. But just his poise in the pocket. His poise in the pocket, what he brings to the table in terms of his overall skill level at such a young age, but his ability to kind of read the field, keep his base about him. He talked about working on throwing from different platforms with his lower body, making sure he can get throws off. And we see him slinging the rock, 160 pounds slinging the rock from different angles just by, the ability to transfer the weight through his hips and be able to kind of sling that rock through there. So, but we're going to bring in a friend of mine and friend of the show, and also over at our Ohio State Voice of College Football, Garrison. Garrison, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
We're doing great. Appreciate you calling in, brother.
For sure. I had a really interesting question for you guys as Nebraska fans. First off, shout out to you guys. Number one fan base in America, as I've told you guys before. Nicest fan base also. So with the news coming that Sharon Moore will be suspended as of now from the University of Michigan, the NCAA accepts it for games 3 and 4. Of course, you guys being that fourth game, having a home game, do you guys take this like some type of disrespect in that, and knowing because there's a clear reason why they didn't choose the first 2 games, and so they chose those next 2.
I haven't really had a chance to think about it, but partially yes, because you got to think maybe that was their plan. I don't know because I think they have a bye week the week after, correct?
Yes.
Or no, we have, or is it them or we have a bye week? I can't remember. I think it might be us actually.
I think they do, but
but I would have to look at their schedule and see their string of games. But let me pull up Michigan's schedule, because do you know their first 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's like New Mexico, New Mexico State, and then at Oklahoma.
Oh, okay, so yeah, they got at Oklahoma, and then the next 2 they got Central Michigan, us, then Wisconsin, USC, Washington, Michigan State. Yeah, because there's other 2 game stretches where they definitely, I feel like they definitely could have made an easier path for themselves. So Partially, yes, because obviously they wanted it to be consecutive games, and they felt like that was the best 2-game stretch. Don't know, and it's also the first game in the Big Ten too, the Big Ten opener on the road, which kind of is crazy to me.
Oh, yes.
I personally don't take offense to it because he played at Oklahoma, I believe, right?
Yes.
So that's kind of like they're doing a ceremony at Oklahoma for him before the game. So they're not going to have him sit out. Yeah, they're not going to have him sit out that game. And that's the reason behind it. You don't want to have him sit out in the middle of conference play. And if you have to have him sit one conference game, it's going to be Nebraska on the road.
Right. I mean, which you get. But also, if you have it's week 4, you have a true freshman quarterback, first Big Ten game on the road in a hostile environment, tough place to play too. Like, would you rather put them in a stretch where you have like a Purdue and forget who it was, Michigan State, Purdue, or that opening stretch?
I would say if I'm a Michigan fan, I would say I'd rather have them miss one game you're guaranteed to win, which is Central Michigan.
Central Michigan, probably.
And then you have Nebraska game, which it's probably going to be plus or minus 3 either way. Come that time, maybe more, but it's basically going to be a push 'em.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather do that than have 2 conference games sitting out. But
depends. I think it just depends on which conference games.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be favored against Michigan State and Purdue, no question, and they're probably going to win by 30 both games. But I understand why you would rather do one non-com and one conference game.
Yeah, because they got a stretch of Michigan State, Purdue, Northwestern, and Maryland. So Michigan State.
You know what's interesting about their schedule? They have no back-to-back home games.
Actually, that is kind of wild.
Nebraska has 5 straight, basically, because the Cincinnati game will be essentially a home game.
Yeah.
Where's that game played?
Kansas City.
Arrowhead.
Oh.
Tons of Husker fans out there. Tons.
Where do you guys think we're coming to this season? Where do you guys think Raiola takes his next step?
All right. You said when?
Or no, where in his game do you think he takes the next step?
Oh, I think it's just going to be his composure in the pocket, mainly because I think last year what a lot of people didn't understand about the offense was, of course, we talk about it a lot with our fan base, but Marcus Satterfield being pretty much the worst offense coordinator you could possibly imagine. You probably saw that interview where they asked him about his yards per play, and he didn't know. This is 10 weeks into the season, and he was like, I don't know. They're like, do you have a goal? He's like, I don't know. It was like around 4. What did he say? Around 4?
He said 4.5 or 5.
4.5, which would have 4.5 per play, which would have put us like back of the NCAA, like 120 something. And so then immediately, like that was a backlash from that, of course, because he had no clue. And then we brought in Holgerson, and then you saw a different Raiola because with Satterfield, it was a lot of deep routes, but a lot of him scrambling for his life because it was a lot of deep routes with no setups. There was the running back rotation, which didn't make any sense. They were just rotating to rotate him. Emmett was our clear number 1 back. They didn't start him regularly. And so it was just, I think it was a lot of things working against him that made him really kind of jumpy in the pocket. Our QB coach, Glenn Thomas, talks about calm feet equaling calm mind. And his feet were jumpy. He was jumpy in the pocket. And that's why he struggled a lot of the season. But you saw him settle down and relax with Holgerson as the OC. And so I think his mind is going to slow down a lot. His process in the game is going to go a lot quicker. I just think he's going to be a lot calmer in the pocket and be able to make smarter decisions.
Yeah, I think he's going to.
I'm sorry. I'll tell you what, Justin is really good at giving me too much information.
That is very true. That is very true. I always like preface it with a whole different thing. I've noticed that. I always start it with some kind of like high level thing and high level overview, and then kind of get to my point eventually. My bad.
I'm sorry, Brian.
He's used to it.
Very much, yeah. I very much just say just very simplistically what I think, and Justin elaborates for me. It's like I do play by play. He does color commentary, basically.
Exactly.
No, thank you,
Garrison,
students,
you've been on many shows with me. You know how I am. I'm an analytical mind.
I know you talk football the way you box. It's punch after punch.
Yeah, exactly. Relentless. All right. We're just gonna talk like for me, like I feel like people won't. It might be an ADHD thing. I feel like people won't understand my point fully unless I like add every single detail in. But yeah, I think it kind of works with Brian because Brian kind of sits back and lets me do my thing, and then he'll talk here and there, and like yeah, like you said, I'll break down everything he says, kind of like I'm doing now.
No, but yeah, Brian. Like, what do you think about Raiola coming into the season?
I think the biggest, and I said this before, the biggest area of improvement he needs is to do exactly what he did against you guys at Ohio State, which is take the yards in front of you when he can. I believe he was the leading rusher in that Ohio State game. And granted, 55 of that was on his one run where he could have scored if Banks held onto his block. So I think that's the biggest area for him is just if there's 3 yards in front of you, no one's open, just take it and go. And get down and keep the ball moving. Doesn't matter if it's 3 yards at a time or 50. I don't care. Just go score.
No, that's a good point because I try to really because especially for a freshman quarterback going to the Big Ten conference being what it is, you're gonna have some struggles, right? But how do you play in kind of like the high meter games like the Ohio State games? He played really well in that game. I mean, Brian, there were a few times last year, and just remember, I forgot what game it was. I think did you guys play Illinois last year?
Yeah,
I think it was the Illinois game where I said that was gonna be his coming out party, and I was wrong. I think I called for like
the first half. It was.
Yeah, I know. I do. I was talking a lot of crap on Twitter when that happened, bro. Because I called for like close to 300, 3 touchdowns. I said he's gonna tear him up, and I don't know why.
To be fair, if our receivers could have came down with the 50-50 balls, we win that game.
Yeah. So I've been really high on Raiola. Of course, me being a Buckeye fan, you can understand why. I thought that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Having Julian Saint out of that class also had DJ Lagway. I mean, I'm happy with it.
Yeah,
but I do believe Raiola to be one of those guys who are like kind of like almost like a Bryce Underwood. If you fail with him, it's probably because of coaching. So, but I think you guys be. I think you guys be good this year. I think I had you guys finishing at like 9-3.
I'll take that.
Or 9-3 or 8-4, I believe. I'm not sure, but no.
That's the minimum expectation.
But yeah, that's sorry about that. But but no, someone got a little mad. But no, I think that's a reasonable expectation for you guys. I think you have the head coach for it. I think that people forget who you guys head coach is sometimes. I think he's one of the better. He's a top, I would say 15 head coach in my estimation. But yeah, man. I'm a closet Husker fan, so.
And I appreciate it because he goes to bat for us on this other show we did all last season. He goes to bat for the Huskers a lot, and has been kind of high on Raiola throughout the season, even with all the stuff going on. Because Garrison's one of the few people that looks at the game of football and understands the game of football more than just what meets the surface. So kind of like seeing the actual what's breaking down on the field and why somebody's struggling as opposed to just seeing them struggling. And then I just think Raiola and Nebraska easy targets. So Matt Rule, just by nature of the beast, kind of takes a lot of that heat because people don't want to see Nebraska succeed. So they channel that in on Rule. But I mean, Rule's been great in building a incredible roster and of course turning things around pretty quick.
And his usual process. I'm sorry, don't go ahead, bro. I'm sorry.
I'll say we talked about this before. His usual process, like year 1 is just abysmal. Year 2 is like you see some progress, but you're still like 4 or 5 wins. In year 1, they got 5, which is ahead of schedule. In year 2, they got 7, which is ahead of schedule. So that's why I say like 8 has to be the bare minimum expectations right now for Nebraska.
Agreed.
And also, I mean, is this year 3 for him?
Yeah,
for Rule, this would be year 3. Year 1, he had Jeff Sims.
Okay,
that was a disaster. That's
what we were told.
You guys had Alex Orji on your team,
and everybody on the team was basically injured.
Yeah, he came from Georgia Tech, correctly?
Yeah,
he was.
And he had a 55% completion percentage there too. And that offseason they were like, we want him to be up to 65%. How on earth? And then Casey Thompson was supposed to be in the quarterback room, and he left last second, so we had no quarterback battle. So it was just Jeff Sims.
Okay.
Yeah, they took him to media days and everything.
I try to like reserve like my like fully critiquing and like you can critique a coach every year, but for coaches that go somewhere else, I think maybe like 3 to 4 years before I really critique or grade what their tenure was or has been at that point. because I mean, by that third year, most of the guys on the team are your people, right? They're mostly your players.
Yep.
So I'm really interested to see what it looks like now. I mean, because we've seen him when he has all his players, like after a few years of building a program, we've seen that before. So no, I think this will be a really good year for him leading into Ryle's probably swan song year in his junior season the year after. So yeah, man.
Had some great weapons too. That was the biggest thing out on the outside. We got bone-led corn. We got bone-led corn fed in the back too. About to hop in. So I'll see if he wants to jump in here. Garrison, just let me know when you need to hop off or want to hop off.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna hop off right now, guys.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys. You guys going.
Thanks for calling in, buddy.
Thanks for calling in, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, see you guys.
Yeah,
all right, man.
Yeah. Hey, I think where we need our biggest improvement is at special teams. And I think we will get that just from the rugby punting, just by doing that. Had we made our field goals against Ohio State, what happens? We win. Had we made the field goal, Once again, that is where we need to make the biggest improvement, is in that department. Okay. Granted, people may argue and say Dylan needs to get better. Well, if he does, maybe marginally, but obviously our punting, our field goals, that's the main thing that's going to win us the close game or lose us the close game.
100%. Yeah. And Brian, you can go ahead and elaborate that too, because you've talked about special teams a lot as well.
Yeah. So I think back Iowa game. What was it? IGC thought he muffed a pump, but he didn't muff a pump. And then Iowa got a field goal. If he just catches that or lets it roll, that game we win. If we have a good snap and a good hold on that field goal at the end of the game, we win. What else happened? Was at the Illinois game, we had a missed field goal. Purdue, we had 2 missed field goals and a blocked punt, but that was a win. Against Rutgers, we had 2 blocked punts.
Ohio State, we had 3 missed field goals against Ohio State.
Yeah. There's just so many instances. I think the total was 10 block kicks or punts on the year, which was a record in Nebraska football history. Their special teams efficiency was second to last in the entire country. So if Eckler can just make it mediocre, Nebraska wins. If you take that unit, say it's last year with Eckler, have a mediocre special teams, you probably win 10 games last year. And that's not even an exaggeration. There were so many games that it cost us. Crappy offense play, yes, but special teams, it was a disaster. It cost us so much.
And
and I want to make a comment about the Michigan coach thing. I don't take it as disrespect because, maybe they know for a fact that they're going to struggle to beat us or probably can't beat us. So they're just going to chalk that one up as a loss. And they have a freshman quarterback, might I add. Having to come and play in Lincoln at night would be very difficult. So I think that's why they're doing it, because they figure, we can we can afford to lose one either here or there, and then still make it. Now I could see if they did it to Ohio State. Now that would be disrespect, okay? Because then they're just telling Ohio State, well, you're nobody, and until we prove ourselves, unfortunately, I'm a fan, but unfortunately, that's just the way things are going to be, and that starts by us winning that game. Let's say, heaven forbid, we don't win, which I have us winning, by the way. We don't, then what's that mean?
I think it would all depend on how the loss went down, honestly. Like my thing on it is the coach isn't going to make too big of a difference. Like we saw Sharon Moore replace Jim Harbaugh before, and it didn't make that big of a difference. That team has dealt with this before. They haven't had their coach. So they've got a lot of different faces, but the thing is, the one part of that is Bryce Underwood, who is going to be that guy to step up to calm him down if Sharon Moore is typically that guy, or maybe they feel like they got somebody on that staff or a good group of people that can kind of just keep that game, manage that game. But yeah, maybe it's just risk aversion, and they think that's the best opportunity to potentially kind of get it, like Brian said earlier, get it out of the way quickly. Yeah, I don't personally take offense to it, but in a way, like I understand why people could feel like it was a little bit of a slight. But
yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I mean, if we lose, it doesn't end our season.
Yeah.
No.
It's a great game to set the tone for the season. It is a very important game. That is for sure.
Well, that's cool. But I will say this, if I go by the early predictions that I've seen, the only game that has us, not in it is the Penn State game. And they've already got Penn State favored by 20 points, not knowing what we have. Okay. But all the other games are pretty much a toss up or within 7 points, which to me is still a toss up, So, I mean, if that is correct, then according to that logic, we could end up anywhere between 1 loss to maybe 3 or 4. So an 8-4 campaign wouldn't be, too far off, but it all comes down to how we play. I mean, if we get blown out by somebody we shouldn't, I mean, that's my main thing.
I think we're at the point where we need to be able to not just win the games like we're supposed to win, and like we got to pull off one of those big time wins that we just haven't been able to. Like I would almost would you rather win just chalk and win the games that you were supposed to win, or have an extra loss on your record but a win over like an Ohio State? Like what's a more successful season? What's a bigger moment? Finally getting over that hump of beating a Big Ten team or a big team like that, or like just having, an extra 1 loss on your record?
Well, I would say beating the name brand team. And the reason that I'm saying that is because
I mean an extra loss with the loss being to somebody else too. Like, so 2.
Oh, 2 losses total. Okay.
Yeah,
okay. So you're saying if we lose to Ohio State and let's say, I don't know, Iowa, heaven forbid,
Yep.
If that ever happens, I don't know what I'd do, but anyways, well, I would rather beat an Ohio State or beat an Iowa, because that shows that we've made progress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And people will look at that when we go, like nationally, they'll say, okay, Nebraska's made progress, Rule's the right man for the job, this and that. It would answer some of our unanswered questions. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think it alludes to the fact that a lot of this is mental, and that would be a big mental hurdle. Yep. Mental hurdle to overcome, essentially.
I think all the losses that we had the past 2 years, most of it was mental, because they would get to a certain point and then they just couldn't, it's like they fell apart, and and they couldn't close. And was that mental? Probably, but this year, the mental portion seems to be a lot better, so I'm actually kind of curious, I mean, I think we're going to do pretty good this year, and yes, I have us beating those black guys. I mean, Hawkeyes, too. So,
Yep.
All right, guys, go Big Red, and thank you.
I appreciate you calling in, man. Thank you so much.
You bet.
Go Big Red.
All right.
Yeah, it's a good question. Would you rather? Let's take last season for example.
Hold on, back up, come back in. I'm back going. You didn't finish that thought. Let's see. I think we made it. Did we make was it Ohio State made like a 50-yarder against? I feel like that was a decent game in terms of that. Still going to run, or maybe we made 1 of 3. I can't remember. Dylan's a lot of professional input to first year performance. I'm betting he trucks somebody in game 1. Sean, what is this? What is what? The show? The show is our call-in show. We're on our 3rd episode every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central. So if you're first time here, welcome. But if it's something else, just ask away. Miss Judy, good to see you. I'll wait for Brian to hop back in here. Hey, there we go. All right. Yeah. So, and 2, like with that question, with that being said, would you rather, kind of, get over that hurdle, and then, or lose those games to Iowa and Ohio State. Let's say they're close losses. They're close losses, but the rest of the schedule works out as chalk. We win the games supposed to, lose the games we're supposed to. What's your thoughts?
Okay, sorry, I was cutting out a minute there. The way I look at it is, so I was thinking like last year, if we had say one more loss, but one more like big win. So let's say we beat Ohio State.
Ohio State, yeah.
Ohio State.
Lose, and then
and say you lose, Rutgers or something.
Yep.
But you finish 5-7. Do you feel any better?
Beating an Ohio State, let's see, 5-7. So that's another factor. The record is also still important at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But we're talking about, let's say the record was 9-3 versus 7-5.
Yeah.
And one of them you have a win over a top 5 Ohio State, top 3 Ohio State, whatever. And the other ones you win the game you're supposed to. That's because that's on that line. That 7 win is on that line, but at the same time you have that finally that wind under your butt. It's tough. That's a tough situation.
I'd rather take 9-3.
I
just think about where we've been.
I think I might be with you.
I
might be with you.
How big was that bowl win? Remember, like the team's reaction to beating Wisconsin to get to a bowl game. Dylan Raiola was pretending to bowl a bowling ball in the end zone after the game sealing essentially touchdown.
Yeah,
the fans stormed the field, and then their reactions to winning the Pinstripe Bowl. And just think back at the last 15 years of Nebraska football. It's like I would rather take 9 wins, and I don't care how you get there.
100% agreed. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again. Again, you don't have to have video, just audio required. If you want to have video, perfectly fine with us. I don't think guys we have now lack confidence. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think the mental part of that has kind of worked its way out for the most part of this locker room. I think there's a different energy in there. So Jim in Minnesota, appreciate you hopping in here, Jim. Go Big Red. Big supporter of the show, so I really appreciate him. All he does is support the channel. All I ever hear is it's not the nice anymore. Like, I don't know it. Black eyes. Yeah, me too. For a second, I was like,
pause my brain and recycle what he just said.
I was like, wait, did we just do that? No.
What did you just say?
Loosing is not the vocabulary. If the O-line does indeed become the strength of the team, as some insiders have said, what does that mean overall for our success?
Run the damn ball.
Yeah, to be honest, of course, I think it does a lot for our success. I think the offensive line was just going to be severely helped by the flow of the offense anyways. So I think in a way, too, the importance, I feel weird saying this, like the importance of the offensive line in terms of its strength is not as dire as it was under Satterfield in a way, So as while we wanted to improve always, I think there's a smarter offensive system being run now that takes pressure off the offensive linemen, so we can have a little bit less, a less is more with that than we have with Satterfield.
There was a Nebraska reporter that posted something on Twitter a long time ago, and it was Trae when Holgorsen was officially brought in. They're like, hey, with his new system, offensive line may only have to block for 4 or 5 seconds. And I responded, and I was like, if they're blocking for 4 or 5 seconds, we've got a huge problem.
Yeah,
because that's what they were doing under Sat's offense, and now with Holgorsen, it's like you're in that 1.5 to 2.5 range. That ball's coming out quick. That's going to help the offense.
My opposite side to that is when you have an O-line, you can do a lot of different things. It opens up when you have a really good O-line, if that's the strength of your team, you can do a lot of different things. It opens up a lot of different versatile things that you can do. And so it's just going to completely open the offense up. So at the end of the day, that means a lot for overall success. And not only that, just building that good pipeline of a good offensive line. I think that's the biggest thing is once that becomes the strength of your team, then you have players wanting to come be a part of that, That's why you see offensive linemen go to, the big offensive linemen go to the already established offensive lines, your Michigans, like those teams that always have solid O-lines. O-linemen want to go play for those teams. Those are the ones that usually make it to the league. So it's very, very important for the overall success, not only the team on the field, but in recruiting going forward too.
Yeah, they've done a nice job kind of building out the pipeline for years to come. And that was one thing under Frost and Riley, it drove me nuts. Was like they'd recruit these high-level linemen, and then they're shoving them into the starting lineup as freshmen or redshirt freshmen. That if you're doing that, you're destined for failure. So if you look across Nebraska's board now, you got a junior in Elijah Judy at left tackle. You'll probably have a junior, I think, in Henry Latovsky at left guard. You'll have a junior in Justin Evans. You'll have a senior in Rocco Spindler, and you'll have possibly a sophomore or senior on the right side of the line at the right tackle. But then your backups, sophomores, freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and those guys get more time to develop.
Yep.
So when that group leaves, you have guys that are in their third and fourth and fifth years ready to take over. That's what made the 90s so damn good.
Exactly. All right. Call-in link is in the chat. So y'all be sure to call in. This show runs as long as y'all call in. So we need y'all to keep the show rocking and rolling. What's going on, Jackson? Appreciate you hopping in here. Jim, appreciate the question, by the way. Really good question there. We need to win all the games we're supposed to and 100% of the ones we're not. I agree wholeheartedly. If we're improved, we need to win them all, except maybe Penn State. Raise the dang bar. Tell your friends and family, the cashiers at Kroger with the Magic Justin. Hey, Jackson, appreciate it. Like I told you, he's the king of promo right here. King of promotions right here. Jackson has the funniest clip where he called into Paul Feinbaum's show. And if you know Jackson brings out a whole plethora. You want to talk about bringing information that you don't need to the table, just extra information. He called into Paul Feinbaum's show and just started dropping just straight, facts on him, just like knowledge bombs on him. And Paul Feinbaum was like, I think you might be the only person that knows more. I can't believe it's like encyclopedia. Even Paul Feinbaum. I got to find the clip because it's absolutely amazing. But Jackson Johnson.
Funny one about Easter.
Huh?
There was one funny one about Easter when Jackson called in. He was talking about like the next time that Easter will be on 420 would be in like 3033 or something. And I'm just like, how the hell do you find this information?
Oh, Jackson's funny. Oh, here's the clip. Let me pull it up here for y'all. Y'all are going to enjoy this. Look at it. This show became about Jackson. All right, let me pull it over here. Full screen it for y'all. All right. Let me know if you can hear it. Oh, hold on. Nope.
Up next. Hey, Jackson.
What's going on? Good afternoon. You can't hear it?
It's very faint.
Let me send you the link.
My headset. I don't know if the chat can hear it.
Let me send you the link. Pull it up. Chat. Let us know if you can hear it, but I'm going to put it in the private chat for us. Pull it up in here and see if it works. We gotta watch this. Let's see. 9 wins, so we lose to Michigan, Penn State, and USC, unless those 3 playoff teams. I'm still pissy about it. Jackson, how's the Tide today? They're doing all right. Jackson was all over Rawhide on his show the other night, cracking me up. Jackson, something else. Did you get it up?
Yeah, my mouse is just like super sticky right now.
All right, here we go. Well,
you see it?
Well, why is that?
Well, meaning it's slow reacting.
Professional show here, guys. I'm saying that as I made the comment. All right, go ahead.
Let us check with Jackson up next. Hey, Jackson.
Good afternoon, Paul. How's it going today?
Jackson.
Got some NFL draft for you, good buddy.
You bet. Let's hear it.
Well, it's as of last night, it's been 54 years since the Saints drafted the first-round quarterback, and that man was Archie Manning. They haven't drafted a first-round quarterback since then. And Alabama's first-round streak continues at 17 years as they got Campbell and they got Booker in the first round. Cowboys and Eagles are definitely going to be happy this year with our Bama boys.
Well, that is very interesting, Jackson.
Well, and here's more. The Seahawks are now going on 32 years without drafting a first-round quarterback. I mean, yeah, they drafted Russell Wilson, but he was in the third round of 2012.
I don't mean to be a smart aleck here, Jackson, but is there anything you don't know?
Softball and soccer.
Okay. That is pretty. You're one of the most fascinating fact guys I've ever heard from.
I did my best, Paul. I did my.
All right, so I just wanted to pull that there. That cracked me up. Jackson, that is just how he is.
Thick Southern accent.
They say that Alabama drawl, man. They say
Yeah.
Nebraska will never win another. That's what I tell people all the time. It's two different types of Southern accents. There's a drawl and like a twang. You got the drawl, deep drawl from those Alabama parts. They say Nebraska will never win another natty. They said there never be an American Pope. I like our chances. What is this hoopla about the Pope? Why is everybody mad? Like, why is everybody arguing about the Pope? Listen, this is the type of stuff like I got my own important stuff to worry about, so I don't worry about stuff like this. I don't
Yeah,
really
that guy's
care.
got his hands
I don't
full.
really care. I just don't know much about it. So like, yeah, why are people mad or arguing?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Somebody fill us in. Somebody call and fill us in on the Pope. And I've been seeing there's Big Ten ties somehow. Agreed, Dave. We lack some of the advantage that assisted us in the 90s. We'll find new ones eventually. I don't know, that's why we play the games. Yeah, strength and conditioning back in the 90s was incredible. It was something Nebraska did better than anybody. All right, let's not talk about prudential. Let's not talk about all that because that is rumors, solely rumors. They were strength and conditioning better than anybody, and they were doing it the right way, all the right ways. But also that, there was a couple of things that they exploited in the rules in terms of, I think it was the gray shirts? I can't remember. They used to have all different kinds.
The Prop 45.
Oh, that's what it was. That's what it was.
Yeah, you have kids that don't qualify academically out of high school.
Wasn't that the gray shirts though? Yeah. So I think I think those two kind of are hand in hand.
Yep. And then academically qualify your first year, then you're good.
And then just had an amazing coach on top of that. So basically just did everything better. And now, I mean, everybody's caught up. Facilities, money, like it's the best facilities are going to be probably whichever Big Ten team has the newest facilities. Those are always going to be the best. So it's like
that's
constantly change. Yeah, right now, which is us. So which is why we got to capitalize on this opportunity. While they do have that advantage.
Yeah.
Since 1968, when Barry Alvarez was playing linebacker for Coach Bob Devaney, my bad, 2 missed field goals. Yeah, I think they made did they make the 50 in there and then missed 2?
54-yarder.
54 missed the 2 field goals.
If you think, wasn't the play before 2 plays before, it was the incredibly terrible spot on the Emmett Johnson first down run that they said was 2 yards short when he was 3 yards past the sticks. And then the next play, Isaiah Nayor got tackled in the end zone, and they called us for pass interference. I'm 100% on the conspiracy train that the Big Ten hates Nebraska.
100%. I mean, we had that ridiculous stat of how long did we go without a holding call called against us?
Yeah, it was like 123 quarters.
It was
123 years. Yeah,
it spanned seasons.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was crazy.
I do want to pull this up here. I don't know what this show is. They have actually, I can't even pull anything up. I got to send it over to you. So let me send this over to you and let's see. I haven't watched this yet. I just found this earlier and I was like, I'll bookmark it. Let's put it up on the show. No idea what this show is, but I was figured if there's going to be a show that we do it, what better one than this one, since it's a little bit loose and free.
I'm guessing these are some TikTok guys.
I have no idea. The way they edit the video,
it's definitely a form
like that style
for sure. Want me to go full screen with it?
Yeah, I haven't heard what they said, so I'm just curious. Figure we all
could be wild.
It says, does Nebraska get over the hump this year?
Selling ourselves that this is the year that Nebraska finally puts it all together is like selling ourselves Texas A&M is finally going to be an 11-1 team. Can we stop until we see it? Let's not put the wagon before the horse. And I like Don Raiola and Matt Rule too. But let's put a pause on that kind of shenanigans because I've heard it so many times before. I'm going to continue to hear it. Are we really going to continue?
All right. And it's an interesting conversation.
In 11 games.
It is an interesting conversation though, right? Because what do we consider Nebraska being back?
Making the playoffs. That's what I would consider it.
Yeah. So competing for now, we are on the fence this year whether we feel like we can compete for a playoff. So I do understand. Huh?
Where are you at on it?
I have us somewhere in the 9-10 win range, but I think I predicted us 9 wins. My 50-50 game, was it the USC game? I can't remember. Can't remember which game it was. I have a 50-50 game on the schedule somewhere. I know Minnesota was one of my 50-50s because they're sneaky. There was a few that I had on there that were 50-50 games, but I got us probably about 9 wins.
Yeah, I'd say like your toss-ups off the top of my head: USC, Iowa, Minnesota. We don't play Illinois, we don't play Indiana, we don't play Wisconsin. Well, yeah, I'd say those are your 3 top. Maybe UCLA, because it's at UCLA. You don't really know what I don't know what their offense is going to be. They got a new OC. They have Nico Amaliva. That may be a toss-up.
And so with that being said, with these guys saying like, I kind of get his point to an extent.
Yeah.
Because he didn't say like Nebraska's not getting, he was talking about he wasn't saying Nebraska 11 wins. He was saying it's like saying Texas A&M is going to get 11 wins.
Yeah, until Nebraska makes the playoffs, we're not back.
Yeah, so I do kind of see their point, and I do see why people are frustrated with the constant like Nebraska hype. Like I feel like I was that way with we were all that way with Texas forever.
Yeah,
you know, where it seemed like Texas was constantly getting propped up because of their past and who they were in the rankings and stuff like that. And so I remember being annoyed about that. So like when I remove the fan emotion and kind of look at it, like I understand it.
Yeah, I see certain people like that are just purely optimistic, and I don't fault them for it. But they're like, they look at the schedule and they go 10 wins easy. And I'm like, man, we haven't proven anything in 10 years. So yeah, just give me, improvement year over year. And then if we get 10, great. But
there's a realistic middle ground to be had. And I think the people who are just constantly like positive are like that because they feel like they are being like a hater or negative, and the players and all that are going to see it and all that. There's a difference between like negativity and throwing hatred and like analyzing what you're seeing in front of you and saying like, you got to have a standard, right? And so like you should, and most coaches, Matt Rule would probably even admit this, if you're not getting the product on the field that you want, you should be able to air out your grievances and stuff like that. So I feel like, I don't know. That's
where quietly confident over in North Stadium. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And so I feel like being authentic has gotten me more realistic, because when I used to just have the fan emotion, just be positive every season, like I feel like we had that for a while. We were like that for a long time, and it just got beat out of us. You know what I'm saying? Because like for a while there, like growing up, it was like I felt like we could win every game, and then then we got to that point where it was like, because there would be times like I remember times as a kid being upset when we didn't just completely destroy like a Big 12 team like an Oklahoma State, like, oh, we didn't drop 70 on them. We beat them 35-13. What a bad game. Yeah. That type of stuff.
I used to get such an anxiety before games, like a big game. Man, my stomach's churning, and I was sitting in the stands and
nervous as hell.
I remember I went to the Oklahoma game right after they fired Frost.
I was at that game too, first row.
And I was not nervous. I was like, we're going to get our asses kicked. And I was confident. I was just there to support them.
I don't know about you, but after the Georgia Southern, because I was flying out for that game, I don't know, after the Georgia Southern game, I was not excited for that trip at all. I was like, I don't want to go. And then when they fired him, and then Mickey Joseph took over, it was Mickey Joseph. Yeah. It gave me a little bit of excitement, because I'm like, who knows what we'll see out there? I know we're probably going to lose, but at least we had a change. It
was fun for the first quarter.
Yeah, that play that Dylan Gabriel down the sideline, I have that video on my phone, because like it was a third down, and that was the loudest. That third down was the loudest I'd ever heard that place. I feel like that third down was louder than the Colorado game. At any point.
Oh, I was at that Colorado game. I was completely unhinged.
But I was too. But I was at the Colorado game too. But I was at the front row of the Oklahoma game. I remember my brain like rattling. like why they were doing that. And then there was one third down we stopped him, but there was another one. Remember, he scrambled out right side down the line, and this is the play where kind of Tommy Hill gave up on the play.
And he took off again.
And so all you see is my camera, and it's like, oh, and he literally runs right in front of the sideline. I'm first row, and all you hear is like, and then my camera goes down.
Yes.
And the video stops.
I put in like some parlay bets on that game. That's how unconfident I was. And when he scored that touchdown, I looked at my cousin because I was at the game with him, and I go, I just hit my bet. Unfortunately,
I'm the kind that never wants to leave the game though. Like my cousin and all because a big family group goes out there, so they're like, all right, let's get back to the bar. But I'm like, I don't want to leave. Like I want to watch the game. Like I'm here to the whole trip is for me to watch a game. So I hate that
I've left one game early in my entire life, and that was the Oklahoma State game where they filmed that movie with Jim Carrey. We were like 41-0 at halftime.
Yeah. I hate doing it. Even the Ohio State game, College Game Day came out there. Justin Fields slaughterhoused us. My bad. 2 missed field goals. Oh, I already read that. Let's see. All right, we got to get a call in here, or we are going to wrap up the show here before too long. So let's go ahead and drop the link in here again. Somebody call in and let's talk about any of the topics we talked about, or whatever you want to talk about. If you want to talk about the Pope, let us know. Nebraska has been its own worst enemy the last. Oh yeah, that's no doubt. Playoffs back to back equals back. Okay. Look at stats. That's all right. Pit snipe. Let's just start with the playoff first. That was a really good game. Holes. Yeah. Been a fan since 67. Stats are meant to be broken. I'm excited for this year being viable again is on my bucket list. We need it. How do y'all think Mickey would have done as a full-time coach here? I don't think he was ready to be a full-time coach.
Yeah, that would have been a disaster.
I don't think he, especially with the speed at which the game is changing. Like Matt Rule is a very analytical mind that is very forward thinking, but he's got a lot of life experience. He's got a lot of experience in a lot of different, the NFL and all that. So he has this different level of kind of like understanding of kind of how this stuff works. I don't think for Mickey Joseph, I don't think that would have been a great first job to start with as a head coach at all. He would have been in over his head.
Yeah. In this day and age, your head coach isn't even the head coach. He's more of the CEO, and your coordinators are really just your head coach for that specific side of the ball is the way I look at it. And Mickey is not that CEO type, and it's no fault of Mickey. It's just he's very much a different type of coach than what you would need to succeed at this level. Yep.
I have a question, and for the next person that calls in that wants to answer this, somebody call and answer this question too. But I'll ask it to you. Do you think being a first year head coach has become way more difficult now than it used to be because of all the portal stuff and all this other stuff that you got to learn, that you are kind of the CEO. And so it's a different style, like a more of a manage, it's a whole different ball game.
It's way more complex.
Yep.
That's why you're seeing a lot of you saw it with, I think it was North Dakota State's old head coach. Maybe it was South Dakota State. He went to USC as the linebackers coach just to kind of get a breather for a year. And then he took over at Fresno State. But even you're seeing it too. I think it was a couple years ago, Boston College's head coach took the defensive coordinator job at the Bears. You're seeing that happen a lot more where you're getting these mid-tier Power 4 program coaches. They're like, this is ridiculous. I'm done.
Yep.
Just let me go coach in the NFL. I got to work 6 months out of the year, and the other 6 months is vacation.
Exactly. Yep. All right, we're gonna continue this probably maybe another 5 minutes. If we don't get a call, we're gonna conclude the show. Let's see. I was thinking Ohio State, but it wasn't. Good question, Mike. Like Mickey getting chops at Grambling. Yeah, agreed. Rule is adapting as well as any coach in the country, and this takes me back to the press conference where he talked about Trev Alberts and kind of like. When I think it was back when Trev was still at Nebraska and he was talking about like what he brings in terms of kind of foresight and seeing things coming too. I think Dannon has been even better at that as well.
Troy Dannon's elite.
He's amazing.
We got him from a temporary interim president.
That's the best thing that happened to us. We got Mike on the line. Mike, what's going on, man? Appreciate you calling in.
Mike?
Gentlemen, how we doing?
We're doing great now that you called in. Let's go.
Great. So, I've been sitting here listening to you guys talking stuff, and we're talking about Matt Rule and success and stuff that he's had, not necessarily at Nebraska yet, but Baylor and Temple. And I won't blame Carolina because Carolina still sucks anyway. But
David Tepper's the problem there.
So
second
here's the thing for me. Matt Rule has one thing that I don't think a lot of the previous coaches have had. And that is he's got Troy Dannon on his side. I don't think many of the other coaches have had any of the athletic directors on their side.
Yep.
That is true. There's 100%. Always been a split athletic department. It seemed like it was coming together for Frost. And that's why I think we all bought in. It seemed like everything came together for that. Now I feel
it did seem like that, but also looking back at it now, was Trev Alberts really ever on Scott Frost's side?
Trev Alberts was never on Nebraska's side.
Yeah,
he was
exactly.
Trying to get out after year 2, and then he was trying to get rid of Frost his first year here.
Yeah. So now we feel like it's like we know that we got that. That's what is happening.
Part of it too
also,
was Matt Rule had a hand in picking the AD too. I mean, that's part of why you have that more comfy feeling that we're all in lockstep in the same direction now, as opposed to the previous coaches and ADs.
Yep.
Right. They were supposed to have their court meeting today. Have you guys seen anything on the house settlement today at all or not?
Yes, I can find it. Give me a minute here.
I haven't seen anything for a little while. But so yeah, whatever Brian's got's probably.
They pushed it back at least a week, though. I know that.
Pushed back a week?
Yes, they pushed back the final decision, I guess you could put it, at least 1 week. Sorry, I'm pulling my notes up real quick.
Yeah.
Here.
You're good.
I got like 5 different Word documents all.
You're good.
Okay, let's see. Okay, so Judge, I think her last name is Wilkinson or something like that. It was a late ruling last night. They must respond by May 16th. So that'd be whoever the plaintiffs are in this case.
You want to give context to anybody who may not know what you're talking about?
This is in regards to the 105 roster, essentially, like cutting down to the 105 roster. Basically, the athletic directors that are pushing this 105, or the conferences that are pushing this 105, want it done by fall camp. And that's just incredibly unfair to the players who have really not had any say in it at all. And so Judge Wilkinson's or whatever is kind of pushing back on it. She has been for a long time. And her big thing is you need to phase this in because you're about to screw over
a lot of
thousands and thousands of kids that are going to have nowhere to go. Because if it happens, let's just say they put it in effective August 1st, these thousands of kids, the portal's closed, so they can't transfer. They're going to have to wait until winter to transfer. They're going to go a whole season without playing football, and they probably won't be allowed to be around the team at that point too, honestly. And so she keeps going back and forth with these conferences and the NCAA. And so now she is saying that they need to come to a decision by May 16th. And her objective is to essentially phase this in throughout the next 5 years. They have to basically on the 16th is when they're going to say yay or nay on this, I think.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be, if you remember like the extra year with COVID, like managing a roster with 10, 15, 20 guys that all got that extra year, if not more, it's going to be 10 times worse than that because Nebraska is going to have 50 guys, 40 guys that are doing this. And I mean, Nebraska is an extremely large roster comparatively to most schools, but even then most schools still are over like 115, 120.
Yeah.
So this was if they do agree to phase it in, it's going to be a 5-year process.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that they ever started talking about roster limits was due to competitive advantage, correct?
They made that as part of it, quote unquote.
So
that's part of the framing for it.
Yeah.
So how is NIL not competitive advantage when you got Texas and Ohio State and some of these big schools spending $40, $50, $60 million on a roster? You're not you're not telling me like a North Dakota State and stuff can afford that.
$1 million question right there.
Yeah. Part of this too is, I don't know if it's in the same lawsuit or whatever, but I think it's kind of rolled into the same thing where they want this rev share thing to be kicked in by July 1. And so that's why you're seeing these teams completely load up like Texas. Okay. I'll keep talking.
Yeah, continue.
You'll see these teams load up like Texas, where they're paying I think they said 30 or 40 is what the Houston Chronicle said. You're seeing Miami do it because they know that on July 1, you are going to be more limited in terms of what you can financially do. And with this clearinghouse that they're trying to get pushed through, essentially anything like if 1890, if you're my player, right, and I'm 1890 and I go to you and I say, hey, I want you to do a car commercial and I'm going to pay you $5,000, that has to get approved by a clearinghouse before we can even do anything. And so with the rev share, each team will get 20 to 22 million each school. That's guaranteed. And you can disperse that however you want for whatever sport you want. And then 1890 will come into play with all your smaller NIL stuff. And I think the natural workaround is just make everything $599.99. And then nothing has to go through a clearinghouse.
3 easy payments of $250. Yeah, it's like, it reminds me of that Mitch Hedberg joke. He's like, no, it's a dad joke. You're either gonna hate this joke or you're gonna love it. He said, I don't know why everything, this is back in the day of 3 easy payments of, he's like, I don't know why they always say it's 3 easy payments in 1995. Why don't they just let us know like 2 of those are going to be easy and one's going to be a bitch. One's going to be complicated. Now, I can't complete the joke. I just realized I'm on YouTube and I can't finish the joke. Never mind. The funniest part is probably going to get me banned on YouTube. Now, dogs are forever in the push-up position, though.
Dogs are forever in the
You're
push-up
supposed to at least fake laugh.
I'm confused by
Jackson Johnson joins the show.
How you doing tonight, gents? Appreciate the shout out.
Hey,
there was one part of the show you forgot to tell everybody about. The magic that you guys are bringing on the Husker Gutter call-in show Thursday nights. All right, here on Nebraska.
Tell the people, Jackson.
And on Corn Huskers Live Tuesday nights. All right here on Nebraska, the voice of college football. I'll tell you this, though. I think Paul needs to learn about who the true Nebraska insiders are. And those insiders are you two guys.
That's right. Let's go. Jackson.
Appreciate that.
Coming in with the bars, dropping heat as always. Jackson, what do you want to talk about, man?
Well, I was thinking about the Sharon Moore suspension, like the news of it, right? And it occurred to me that it's on one of them is on week 4, where Nebraska's going to play Michigan. I can't help but think that the path is setting in for a really good season for Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers in 2025. And it's something I've been saying for the last few years. And ever since we first met in September 2023, Justin, that Matt Rule can bring that magic, especially in his 3rd year at any team he's coached, at Temple, at Baylor. I mean, good God, he had Temple going to college game day when they were playing Notre Dame on Halloween night in his 3rd year in 2015. I can guarantee you something like that can happen. I could guarantee you something like that will happen for Nebraska. I mean, like, good things are coming. The schedule looks a little bit easy. And Michigan and their unknown stats on what's going on with Sharon Moore, it's like, look, if I was a kid going to Michigan or Ohio State, I don't think I'd want to be at anywhere near those messes right now. It's like it's like a range war.
Yeah, because you don't want your kid to be on a team, or you don't want to be on a team that potentially has sanctions coming. Or some kind of restrictions that are going to make the team worse, and you have to run the risk of entering the portal. Some kids don't want to enter the portal. Some kids actually want to go to a place and stay there. But yeah, like me and you, Jackson, we've talked about it since Rule's been in Nebraska, basically. And we've been consistent this entire time that everything was going to look like this. And it's panning out about exactly as we had kind of expected it to this entire time.
Yeah. And I'm sorry if I pull up the Nebraska schedule for a little bit. Yeah,
go crazy with.
Yeah, it's gonna be just for a little bit. Yeah, the Nebraska Cornhuskers, again, have it quite easy with the non-con. I mean, Cincinnati, I mean, they're fate worse than hell with Scott Satterfield, and that's just how they're going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Akron is banned from the postseason, but they weren't going there anyhow.
Yeah. Akron. I don't know if you remember this, Jackson, but Scott Frost's first game ever, the Akron game was supposed to be his first game ever, got rained out. And that hadn't happened in however long.
Ooh.
Let me ask y'all real quick. Do you think the Scott Frost era goes any different if that game's played when Nebraska wins?
No, it's still the same old, same old.
I agree. Still,
it was kind of like a sick omen for everybody.
It's funny. Florida was having a hissy fit about not getting Scott Frost or Chip Kelly after 2017, but they're like, okay, we dodged a bullet.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no kidding.
But anyway, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
You're good. You're good. So the non-conference schedule is easy, as it seems, but Nebraska needs to make sure they don't treat Cincinnati like they're some easy peasy opponent, because that's a momentum setter right there.
Agreed.
Michigan is definitely the momentum setter.
Yeah, especially coming into a bye week.
Oh yeah, because I mean, yeah, Sharon Moore suspended for weeks 3 and 4, but I think that's potentially going to turn into a 4-game suspension. Because I mean, do you really think the NCAA is going to go? Nah, you can just cherry pick your suspension. No,
not unless Michigan has dirt on them. Not unless Michigan has dirt on them.
Oh, that would explain it. That would explain why you can cherry pick.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's some kind of dirt. Somebody at the NCAA. Ugh, I don't even want to know what's in. I don't even know what's in their back room.
Look at Justin. Justin with the love here. You love to see it.
I can't confirm that because he blocked me.
Jim, oh, did he? Jim in Minnesota meeting Jackson for the first time tonight. He's already the GOAT. We agree, Jim. Shout out to Jim for recognizing Jackson's GOAT status. All right, let us hear it, Jackson.
There we go. Maryland, I'm curious to see where they're going. I mean, Mike Lotzley's in hot seat territory. The guy that hired him gone to SMU.
Yep.
Minnesota, I mean, they're a little tougher than they look. So
it's always tough, especially at Minnesota.
They play us tough every time. That's one of our 50-50 games.
Yep. Oh yeah. Northwestern, I really don't know what version we're gonna see of Northwestern.
They suck, but somehow it's always a one-score game.
I don't think they're gonna be very good. They're just kind of scrappy. That's just kind of how they played last year. So I think we can expect them to be a little bit scrappy. But they should be outmatched by this point where Nebraska is under Matt Rule. Year 3, they should be outmatched, and we should win that game easily.
And the November slate, that's the real one right there.
Yep.
USC, I want to see where they're at. I kind of had a hissy fit on Nebraska on CFB After Dark for blowing it against UCLA. Sorry in advance, Nebraska Nation, for having a swearing venting session on you guys.
You're good.
Another personal.
In fairness, they didn't call a clear defensive pass interference at the end of that game. We should have won. That was in the end zone. Would put the ball at the 2-yard line.
True.
And Penn State, I really don't know which version of Penn State we're going to be seeing, but they're going to be really bringing their A game because
they got to get some weapons outside.
They have the most overrated quarterback in America.
Negative. Dude, I like Eller.
I cannot stand.
I like him. I like him. I think
their running back at Singleton is a freaking dude.
I think Drew Aller's underrated to an extent. I think he gets unfairly criticized.
And then there's Iowa on Black Friday, which I kind of feel like that's going to be on CBS.
Yeah, that could.
I'm gonna have a phone call coming in, so give me 2
You're
seconds here.
That could be a crazy, and depending on how that come off that Penn State game, that could be in Lincoln too. That's the thing about that is I feel like it's one of those points too where I kind of asked this question last year. It's like depending on how the season goes, it's like would you rather it happen to where like you start the season slow and you drop a couple games maybe you shouldn't, but you finish off the back half strong, or you win those games that you should early on and then you kind of struggle down that back stretch,
Oh yeah.
It's kind of one of those things like, do you want to finish strong with that back half, or and like let's say you drop a couple of those early games, which situation's better?
Oh yeah. I mean, like honestly, the best thing about it is no Ohio State, no Oregon. That's a good thing right there.
Yes. Anytime you
That
can avoid Ohio State.
Oh yeah, that is much needed.
Because Ohio State is one of those teams that regularly but outside of those a couple times where we kind of snuck up on them, but I've just seen too many Ohio State beatdowns, like bludgeonings, to feel comfortable with Ohio State, and they just been. I mean, they're consistently bringing in the most talent right now, and they've consistently been I keep saying consistently, they're most consistent team throughout college football history. So it's one of those things that Ohio State's probably not going to have a down year. You can expect that.
Oh yeah, but yeah, this is a pretty good schedule for the Nebraska Cornhuskers for 2025. Oh, and of course the 2 SEC games on Black Friday: Ed Bowl and Texas A&M. Man, I feel like a kid at a candy store on Black Friday.
I know, right? Jim says we will beat Minnesota soundly. We should, honestly. If we come out and play the way we're anticipating that we should beat Minnesota for sure. They shouldn't. They won't out athlete us. That's for sure. But like I said, for a while we've had the most talent off the ball, 4th most talent off the bus in the Big Ten for a long time. So, but it's different. So yeah, we should beat Minnesota in my opinion. Pretty sound.
Oh yeah.
USC is home. Yes. Who is Nebraska's Jackson? Love this guy. He's a Bama guy, but he's a smart football. He's just a college football fan overall. Like he loves Alabama, but he loves college football as much as he loves Alabama. So he is the guy with all of the knowledge. If you have an accent like Jackson, Nebraska, they put you in special classes. Don't mind Pit Snipe. Pit Snipe is he's a wild one. He's the one that came up with the Husker gutter name. So,
and our first episode, he had the giant cow testicles.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, on the call in, we're like, can you change those so we don't get banned off YouTube? Iowa got a pretty good QB, didn't they?
No,
they're still suck at QB.
And they paid him.
Once they have a really good QB, there's going to. Yeah, once Iowa has a really good QB, I think there's going to be a new narrator for SpongeBob that they have to hire.
Yeah.
Yep. Where QB careers go to die. I think that's a good way to put it. They got the Millard QB.
That's Iowa
should
State.
Be Ohio State in 18, 21, 24. 24 for sure. 21 was that when we played? I'm trying to think of.
That was at Ohio State, I believe.
That's the one that
honestly,
we were close.
Plays them very good on the road and really terrible at home.
Yeah, that was I think it was the last close road game, right?
Yeah.
Because other than that, like Justin Fields blew our doors off. I remember that one. And then that one game where we started out with like a tipped pick 6 or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And at Ohio State. Do you remember that game, Brian? It was like at night. We had just come off an overtime loss to Wisconsin, who was top 10.
Yeah, that was
2016,
Mike Riley's year. Nebraska started 7-0, and everyone was like
9-4.
And then
However, that Wisconsin game that went to overtime, there was a egregious pass interference that ended that game.
Jordan Western Camp.
He got tackled, taken out of the play completely, tackled on his route.
Same with Rule's first year. Wisconsin at Wisconsin, Chubba Purdy was the QB. And I think it was Malachi Coleman, or no, was it Malachi? Somebody got like tackled on the corner of the end zone, and they didn't throw a flag. It's always at Wisconsin.
Oh, so he said it was the home game. So 26-17 Nebraska, 2020. I think I remember this now because this was the this was the year that CJ Stroud was there.
Mm-hmm.
Like we only had 3 wins coming into that game. Ohio State was top 5. Do you remember this one, Brian? 2021. This was like Adrian Martinez, Samori Toure time frame. Chris Olave played there. I mean, we've kind of brain dumped a lot, but basically what it was they put it into a 2 because that was the year we had all those 1-score losses, and that was the one game that wasn't a 1-score loss because they kicked that last field goal with a minute left. That was really kind of pointless. I mean, it made a 2-score game, but like it was garbage time at that point. That one. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So I agree.
9 losses. We lost by like a combined like 27 points, and we played like 8 ranked teams.
Best 3-9 team, best 3-9 team all time.
Yeah.
USC and Michigan, our house. I love it, but a win at Happy Valley really taught me off. Yeah, I agree. Let's choice words.
What do you mean? Nebraska goes 10-2. I'm hoping they play Tennessee because it's like I wasn't too happy about like Nebraska having to cut off the home and home with Tennessee because like now Tennessee's running their mouths. So I'm just kind of like,
need to get the facts straight on that first.
Beat those balls for us because like beat those balls for us. They start talking their crap. Beat them for us.
Okay, so we were supposed to play that game in 2016 and 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And Tennessee called Nebraska, and they wanted to play at that stupid NASCAR track against Virginia Tech. So we said, we'll move the game to this year or next year and the year after. And so then Nebraska was like, well, hey, we have these – Nebraska can already do like an $800 million stadium renovation. They're going to blow up the south end zone.
Oops.
And they're going to blow up the south end zone. It's going to be a huge project. And so they're like, we're doing this huge project. Can you guys reschedule like we did for you? And they're like, no. So it was, we'll scratch your back, but we won't, or we'll scratch our back, we won't scratch yours, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, it's like that sounds like Tennessee being one-sided.
Mm-hmm. And so, but now,
but our host at Tennessee at the Voice College Football are pretty cool though.
But they're probably not reporting the facts.
Yeah, probably not.
Well,
no, it's Voice College Football. We got a problem. We got a problem with the network. They all talk facts, right? No, they don't. Not all. Not all of them. But it's a good time to go troll them. Like we had Garrison calling from ours. We got Jackson from the Alabama show. So good community of people here. Jackson, anything else?
That's about it. Tell your friends, family, and the cashiers at Publix Kroger about the magic that we're all bringing you as we all take your calls Thursday nights. All right here on the Voice College Football Network, on the Nebraska channel, the Alabama channel, the Michigan, and the Ohio State channel.
That's Jackson Johnson for you, ladies and gentlemen. I wish I had my clap button working. But all right, Jackson. Appreciate you hopping in. I'm echoing. So Brian, leave.
Gotcha.
All right, Jackson. Thanks for calling. Thanks for calling.
I'll see you, gents.
Jackson's at the end. All right, Pit Snipe. Yeah, thanks for visiting. As you told him, he looks like he needs to be in special classes. When Brian gets back here, we're going to conclude the show. I appreciate everybody who hopped in. If you don't mind dropping a like on the stream, let us know what you think. And again, stay tuned. We have our Trae Taylor interview dropping. Probably drop it tomorrow morning. I feel like give it more time for people. It's kind of late now over there, so I'll give it more time for people to kind of be able to check it out early in their day and throughout their day. So. And then Brian also has some recruiting videos that he has recorded, and we're ready to rock and roll with those too. So a lot of content. Sorry. Let me clear my throat. No, I'm sorry. Sorry, ADHD kicking overdrive right now. You know how that goes. But yeah, recruiting videos coming up from Brian. So y'all stay tuned for those. We will keep you updated. We got the recruiting constantly rolling. He's keeping his spreadsheets. Brian keeping his spreadsheets rocking and rolling, churning them out. So we'll get all that up for you at the earliest opportunity. So that way you'll stay up to date on the latest. So anything, Brian, before we conclude?
Tomorrow's video is going to be you're on the Trae Taylor one, and then afternoon, early evening, it'll be wide receiver recruiting update because Nebraska's on 5 of probably the best wide receiver prospects in the entire country, and they're all coming in for official visits in the next month. So big update tomorrow for wide receivers.
Let's go. All right. Action Jackson, thanks for visiting. He's funny. Yeah, he's an awesome guy. He knows. Good show, guys. Appreciate it, Judy. Oh, my camera. Everything's just malfunctioning at the last second. So it's a perfect time to stop the show, I guess. So with that being said, this is the Husker Gutter Call-In Show. We are going to be here Thursday live at 6 p.m. Central every Thursday, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Central as well. Brian, we're going to need to move the show to Monday this week, correct?
Yes, because I have to work on Tuesday night.
So we will be doing the show this coming Monday. I will put that out on my X account at _H-Town Husker. You can find Brian at KC Husker. What is it? KC Husker 24.
Yep.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Pit Snipe, Judy, Jim, appreciate all of you. And
thank you all so much.
With that being said, we will see y'all in the next video. Peace.